with a song. This is called a Wagner song. We have the whole church singing today, so you're welcome to join in. And it's also called the Pay Attention song. And in the Aboriginal teaching, according to my Aboriginal father, adopted father Bill Harney, you pay attention to the plants, the birds, the animals, the insects, the stars, the moon. Everything is teaching us. We pay attention. It's called the Bush University. And the song goes like this, one of the oldest languages in the world. De nalariane, de nalande, de nalariane, de nal. You want to try? De nalariane, de nalande, de nalariane, de nal. One more time. De nalariane, de nalande. In the dream time, according to the Aboriginal people in Australia, the spirit ancestors came down from the sky. They came up out of the ocean, they came out of the earth, and they were singing. There was the long, tall, skinny fella who's the boss of the stars, called the Sky Father. He's called Nadi. He came down from the sky. There was the Earth Mother called Dundu, the frog lady. And she sang it and gave birth to the land. There was Rainbow Corondolmi, who came from the core of the earth and brought water to the world, made the oceans in the beginning. The father and the mother got married, and they were all singing, and when they got married with the song, then Rainbow brought the rain and gave birth to all the children, the plants, the birds, the animals, the insects, the people, and they were singing. Everybody. One more. Children of the Earth Mother and the Sky Father was the Moon Boy, and he was born, and his name was Jabuyi, and he grew up into a man. And when he became a man, Old Moon broke the law. He broke the relationship system law, which is really serious business, and he ran off with his mother-in-law. And the old people, that night, they got together. They said, well, when you break the law, there's consequences. They took a cheeky yam, which is like a spicy yam. They put a song in it. They made it even more spicy. And they gave it to Moon. Moon ate this cheeky yam, and he went to sleep. And that night, the old people were singing as Moon went to sleep, and he never woke up. They watched as his shadow went up into the sky. And then when he went up into the sky, they noticed now he had a big headdress, like a big bowl, what we might call a half moon. And the bowl was filled with water. And each night they watched the Moon Man go up and tip some of that water out of his headdress and the water went into the ocean and came in closer to the shore. And each night they watched him go up, tip more of that water out of his headdress, and he got skinnier and skinnier and skinnier until he lost all the water in his headdress, and all you can then see was his bones around the outside, and you could see a shadow in the middle, what we might call the new moon. And the people said, "Moon's died. He's broken the law," but they still felt sorry for him. And they all sat down and they wept for the moon. A couple of days later, Moon suddenly came back to life. He started to pull the water from the ocean into his headdress. And he got fatter and fatter and fatter. And they said, "Moon's died and he's come back. That will be the law from now on. So let's test it out." And that's when the ring-tailed possum jumped to the front, and he's got a ring in his tail, just like the new moon. And he came up and he said, "I want to test out the law. Why don't you bury me, go away, come back in a couple of weeks and see if I'll come back just like Moon." And they said, "Oh, that's a great idea. Let's do it, Possum." So they buried Possum. They went away. 2 weeks later, the doctor man, the guru, got a funny feeling in his body. He said, "I think something's wrong with Possum." And so he gathered everybody under the sky that night to see if there was a signal. And sure enough, there was a shooting star. When there's a shooting star, that means that something could be wrong with Possum. So they went to the grave of Possum. When they went to the grave of Possum, all the blowfly people who were human like us but later changed into the bushflies, they were crying and flying above the grave of Possum. They said, "What's wrong? Possum's dead. He hasn't come back." And so they quickly dug up the body. And sure enough, Possum had died. And they said, "The law is now broken. What are we going to do?" And everybody sat down and they cried for Possum again. And then the doctor people came along. The guru, he said, "Well, you can lose your body, but something's got to happen to your spirit." So then they took the bones of Possum and they gathered around the campfire that night, and the doctor people sang the song for the bones of Possum. There are many proofs of this story. When the children are born, they check for any birthmark to see who it is that's come back. The tadpole is the one who teaches us, because the tadpole lives in the springs, eats the green algae, grows his arms and legs, drops his tail, and he jumps up onto land. Just like you, when you jump inside your mum, you're inside her spring. And you have a tail from 4 to 6 weeks which disappears, but you grow your arms and legs, and then the water breaks, and you come onto land. And the water breaks around the new moon. The moon pulls the water out of the mums, just like he did in the beginning. And the possum in Australia, he carries this law. He's got these big moon eyes, and whenever there's a full moon, he climbs to the top of the eucalyptus trees. He's trying to get as close to the moon as he can. And the possum in America, what does he do? If you startle him, he plays dead, and you go away, and he comes back to life. He's trying to be like moon too. That's proof of this story. See the moon, that's also another way of teaching us to really be careful about who you're going to marry. Thanks for listening. is coming. There it is. The pay attention song. Story time again. Everybody. One more. In the dream time, the great spirit ancestors, as I said, the father, the mother, rainbow, they gave birth to the children. And they brought the laws, and they brought the songs and the dances and the paintings to the kids. And embedded in the songs and the dances and the paintings are the law of caring for your country. You care for your country, which is your mother, and that's how you learn to care for each other, by caring for something bigger than yourselves. They were singing, they were dancing, and they were painting themselves all up in ceremony, teaching the kids about caring. And there was a point in the dream time, a major point, where the people then changed. Some of the people decided to become rooted in the ground, to become the gum tree. Some people changed into that giant bird who could run the pants off the kangaroo, which is the emu. Some people changed into kangaroos. Some people changed into insects. Some people jumped into the bilboes to become the frogs and the crocodiles. Some people remained as the present day people. And the job of the present day people was to look after all our relatives. And the ancestors were singing. Here we go. One more. And one of the children of the Sky Father and the Mother, the Earth Mother, was a girl named Broga. And this was a beautiful young girl who came along, and she loved to dance. This girl danced every day. She became famous throughout the country, and she practiced every day. Every morning she would get up before the old people while the embers of the campfire were still glowing red, and she would creep through the camp in the darkness, careful not to disturb the old people. She made her way across the red soil plain to her favourite coolabah tree, which is a type of eucalyptus. And there the young girl watched as the beautiful sun lady came up in the east and put on her red powder every morning, grinding it up and powdering up her face and her body in that beautiful red powder, sprinkled over onto the hills and the clouds in the east. This was the sunrise. And all the birds and the kookaburras started to laugh. And the young girl watched the birds come to life every morning, and she mimicked their movements. She watched the giant pelican and imitated her movements. She watched the emu with its graceful leg movements touching the ground so gently, teaching the kids to always be gentle with the mother. She also watched as the wind created dust devils, and she spun for the sheer joy of spinning. She also learned the traditional dances, and she also made up her own. And she became famous throughout the country, and she was also very beautiful. Some of the other kids got really jealous, and the old people were watching. She's also very beautiful, and the boys started giving her a lot of attention, and the old people were worried. They called little meetings. They said, We hoped she doesn't become too vain and her head might swell up. But she never did. All she wanted to do was to dance for the old people around the campfires at night. So one morning, she got up as she always did. The campfire embers were still glowing red. She crept through the camp, careful not to disturb the old people. She made her way across the red soil plain to a coolabah tree. And this particular morning, she created a new dance. The wind was just coming up and was flicking the light on the leaves and creating light pools in the ground. And the young girl jumped from light pool to light pool, creating a new dance. And while she was doing this, somebody was watching her. And he was an evil wizard who lives up in the two black holes in the Milky Way. He looked down to earth and he saw the puffs of dust coming from under her footsteps. And he watched the girl dancing and he said, "She's the best dancer in the whole land. I'm going to come down to earth and I'm going to take her back to my home in the two black holes in the Milky Way." So Awira, the evil spirit, then decided to spin himself into a whirlwind, a willy-willy. He came down to earth and wrapped himself around the tree, and he lifted the girl off the ground, and they went across the red soil plain, and they were fighting. with a red mark on the top of his head. And the bird then started to do the same dances for the old people. And the people realized that their beautiful girl Broga had been changed into a beautiful bird that from that day on in Australia they called the Broga. And here in North America and on the Platte River, this is your dancing bird, a relative with the red mark on the top of his head. The crane, the sentinel crane. In April, just coming up, you'll see the cranes. We had about probably 20 or 30 kids up here today. You know, just like Kearney, Nebraska. Can you try that? They come down. They jump up. They walk. Thanks for listening to the story. to a Native American story, but I'm going to tell a Blackfoot story with permission. And this story is linked to a place called Legend Rock. Has anybody been to Legend Rock? It's near Thermopolis. It's one of my favourite rock art sites. And it tells the story of the buffalo husband. And for the Blackfeet, as with the Lakota and a lot of the Plains Indian people, in the fall and during the summer, they collected the meat from the buffalo and they stored it. It was their survival. And they used to drive the buffalo over buffalo jumps, and I think there's one near here, JP. You've got them all around, just out the back, by Glen Rock. So this particular year, this particular band of Blackfeet could not get the buffalo over the jump. They would drive them to the edge of the cliff and then they just kept going along the edges. And the people were so frustrated, and winter was coming, and the people were facing winter starvation. Hey, oh, hey, yo, hey, oh, hey, yo, hey, yo, oh, hi. Hey, yo, hey, yo, hey, oh, hey, yo, hey, yo, oh, hi. Yo, hey, yo, oh, hi. Hey, yo, hey, yo, oh, hi. Yo, hey, yo, oh, hi. Way, I, way, hey, yo, hey, yo, hey, yo, hey, yo, oh, hi. Hey, yo, hey, yo, hey, yo, hey, yo, oh, hi. Yo, hey, yo, oh, hi. Way, yo, hey, yo, oh, hi. Yo, hey, yo, oh, hi. Way, way, So a young girl, a beautiful young girl, decided to fetch some water. She went out of the camp. She looked up to the hill where, on the edge of the ridge, the buffalo jumped. All the buffalo were just standing there. And she was desperate. She didn't know what to do. And then spontaneously, she yelled out to the buffalo and said, "Please, jump over the ledge. Please, if you do, I promise I will marry one of you." And to her dismay, all the buffalo went over the ledge. They went down into the canyon. And all of a sudden, a handsome, big buffalo came trotting up and said, "I'm your husband. You made a promise," and off we go. And the girl protested. She said, "But I can't leave my family." And the buffalo said, "My family is at the bottom of the cliff. Who mourns for us? A promise is a promise, and you must keep it." So off they went. The people went to work with all the meat and the harvest. This takes a lot of time. And the father, eventually, of the girl noticed his daughter missing. So he followed her tracks. They led them to the teepee, and then they saw her tracks go off with the buffalo. And he said, "This is really strange. So I'm going to follow their tracks." So he followed the tracks, and he walked, and he walked, and he walked, and eventually he got to a buffalo wallow, and he took a rest and had himself a drink. And while he was sitting at the buffalo wallow, a little magpie came up, psst, 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 got his attention, said, "What are you looking for?" And he said, "I'm looking for my daughter. You don't happen to know where she is. She's run off with the buffalo," said the magpie. "I know where she is. I can get a message to her. Tell her to meet me at the buffalo wallow as quickly as she can." So the magpie went off. He found the girl around a bunch of the sleeping buffalo. He went up to the girl got her attention and said, "Your father is waiting for you at the buffalo wallow." And she said, "I can't go there right now. This is too dangerous. Give him a message. Tell him I will be there when I can, as soon as I can, to wait for me." Off went the magpie and went back and told the father. The buffalo woke up. The buffalo husband unwittingly then gave her an excuse to go to the buffalo wallow. He took his horn off and he said, "Could you go down and fill this with water at the buffalo wallow?" And the girl said, "Yes, that would be great, I'd love to." So off she goes to the buffalo wallow, finds her father, tells him the whole story. And he says, "I want you to come with me now." And she said, "It's too dangerous, you'll be killed. Well, let's wait until we get a good chance. Maybe at nightfall, and I'll get away, I'll go back, but I will get away and I'll join you." So she goes back. She fills the cup with the water. And she takes it back to her husband. He takes a drink. And he says, "I smell human." And the girl says, "Oh, that's just me. I was handling the cup. I smell a man." He woke all the other buffalo. They got together. They went straight down to the buffalo wallow and they found the husband. Immediately, they started to trample him into the mud. Until he disappeared. The girl started crying. And the buffalo husband said, "Why are you crying?" He said, "My father, he's all crushed up. He's gone, he's in the mud." And then the buffalo said, "Well, who cries for us? All my brothers, my mothers, my fathers, my brothers, my sisters, they're all at the bottom of the cliff. Who mourns for us?" And the girl kept on crying. So the buffalo said, "Okay, if you can bring your father back to life, then I will let you and your father go back to your people." So the girl got together with the magpie. They went in the mud and they searched and they searched. And then they found a little bit of the bone, vertebra of the father. They took that bone back. They placed it under a blanket. And the girl had been taught a special song from her grandmother. And she started to sing that song over the blanket. And she saw a lump appear under the blanket. Her magpie looked under, and it was her father, but he wasn't breathing. So then she decided to sing the song a little bit more softly. Stood up, breathing, and stood in front of all the buffalo. And they were amazed. They could not believe that he'd just come back. And the buffalo husband said, "Could you sing that song for us?" And the girl said, "Yes, we can do that." And then he said, "This is the deal. We will teach you the buffalo dance so that every time you go into a hunt, we promise we will always give our lives up so you will always have meat for your children. And in return, if you can sing this song after the hunt, then we will always have healthy children And the buffalo will live forever. And to this day, the Blackfoot still have that buffalo dance and the buffalo song, and they still sing that to this day. might have seen some of these cards. It's got a picture of him, and if you don't get one of these and you want to have a look at all our work, 30 years of dedicated work, I've created an archive for the tribe. While I've been living in America, I've been going back, and with American philanthropy, I've been able to document and also take students from the university out to meet Bill. He's still alive, he's 95. He's been given an honorary doctorate at the University of Charles Darwin. The man cannot read or write. He can speak 7 languages. He grew up in the Bush University, and he's an incredible bird man. There's a whole bunch of bird calls on here. And so he grew up paying attention. Right? So it's incredible. There's a lot of stuff on here, so you're welcome to have a look at that and see me afterwards if you want to get one. And I brought him over as part of this. I never planned to do this. I came with a backpack and a didgeridoo on my shoulder to America, and the didgeridoo was my gateway, and that's how I met Caroline. I met Caroline at the Hilton. Were you there at that time? The first time when I showcased, and they said, we want to send you all over the country. And I was a traveller, and I thought, well, I'll get to see America, and then I'll go home. Right? Anyway, it turned into a whole thing, an expedition and an adventure with documenting Bill and taking people out. I spend at least a month every year out on his land, and then I visit my family. In 2011, I brought him out in 2008, and then 2011, we came out and we had this wonderful tour. And one of the videos on there talks about it's got bush medicine. So the pharmacy is in the bush as well. This is why you care for it, because all your medicine's in there. And there's a tree called the emu apple. It's got these really tart apples, and the emus love to eat them. And it's full of this real healing, and the people used to crush them up, and they would be really good on your wounds, right, if you got a cut or a burn or whatever. Anyway, the people are so tart that the people don't eat it. But the emu eat it, and according to Bill, we eat the emu, so that's how we get the medicine. Everything's all connected. So that reminded me of a story when we were traveling. We went to Virginia, we went all over the country, and Dorothy from Martinsville and Danville from the Arts Council, who's like the Caroline, she took us all around. We did school shows, and she took us out to lunch and dinner. And after about the 3rd or 4th day, she turned to Bill and she said, well, Bill, I don't see you eating many greens. You seem to have a lot of meat. And he got this little glint in his eye. He said, he's a trickster. And he said, well, Dorothy, it's like this. For us Aboriginal people, when we eat the kangaroo, we put the whole kangaroo on the campfire. And then we eat the whole thing. We eat everything, and we take the stomach. And the stomach's got all the greens inside it. So that's where we get all our health from. And Dorothy ran off to the restroom. So we were in Oklahoma City, and Bill grew up as a little cow. He was basically slave labor, and as a 7-year-old he was breaking in horses when a normal 7-year-old is in school. And so they worked for my ancestors, the white pastoralists, for 6 months. Then the rains came and they set them free, and that's when they did the ceremonies. So he was able to grow up in full ceremonial tradition and also stay on his land because the labour was needed. And so when he was growing up, what was that story I was about to say? So anyway, I've lost it. So yeah, Oklahoma City. That was it. So in Oklahoma City, so he grew up, and Gene Autry was his idol. There was a huge statue of Gene Autry, and Bill was on top of the world, and we went back to the hotel, and our host is driving us around, had a van, Bill's in the back of the van. We get out of the van, and he opens up the slide door, and I get out, and he closes the slide door on his thumb. And he doesn't scream or anything. He's been through pain rituals. He says, Paul, my thumb's caught in the door, and I go into a panic. Dana, who was the Arts Council people, came around and she knew the door. She got him home, but 30 seconds, he must have had his thumb caught in that door, and I'm going into a panic. I take him inside, we'll get some ice. Take him up to the room and we sit on the bed, I'll go and get some ice. And he says, we don't have ice in the bush, Paul. He says, I'll fix it. So he goes off into the bathroom and I hear the water running. And he's singing and he closes the door and it's 11 o'clock at night. This goes on for about 40 minutes and I go to bed. And he's still singing. And he's in there. And then eventually he comes out and I say, are you okay? And he says, yeah, I'll see you in the morning. In the morning the sun comes up and he wakes me up and he says, look, it's all healed. And I said, what did you do? He said, I sang it. I sang it. And I said, what's the song? And he went, goodbye, goodbye, Dewey, goodbye, goodbye, Dewey, goodbye, goodbye, Dewey. And Dewey means goodbye, right? So he's shifting the energy, right? And I said, well, let's record that song. And President Obama was working on the healthcare at that time. I said, we'll need it to send it to President Obama. Maybe we can use that song. And believe it or not, still in Australia, my hometown, Aboriginal healers still are able to tap into what they call the universal energy. They were so close to nature, they knew how to tap into that energy to heal. And we have healers that work in our hospitals in my hometown in Adelaide. So this is the oldest living culture in the world, and we still have people like Bill around who still hold the link to this ancient past of how we all used to be when we were all indigenous to whatever land